WestJet is canceling flights ahead of a potential strike by its aircraft maintenance engineers union. The airline says it has preemptively scrubbed 25 flights between today and tomorrow. That's when the maintenance engineers could walk off the job. About 3,300 customers have been affected by the cancellations so far. WestJet says the move will prevent its guests and crew members from being stranded if there is job action. It is warning a strike could disrupt the plans of more than 250,000 passengers scheduled to travel over the Canada Day long weekend. And working conditions and salaries are among the main sticking points in the negotiations between the union and WestJet. Union members overwhelmingly rejected a tentative deal earlier this month. They have also opposed the airline's request for arbitration. Well, for more on this possible job action, we're joined by CTV's aviation specialist, Phil Dirty. Thank you so much for joining us, Phil. First off, can you highlight a little bit more about the work and the roles that these AMEs play on a daily basis?
Well, good morning, Jamie. The AME looks after the aircraft while it's on the ground, making sure that the aircraft is serviceable and it's safe for flight. So they have a very important role going over the aircraft after every flight and before every flight to make sure all the conditions are right and the aircraft is in great condition to fly.
You know, when it comes to the safety of airlines, that's something that's not up for negotiation. But let's talk about what's happening between these two sides. How do you see this playing out moving forward? Obviously, there's a lot of concerns about flights being canceled and travel plans being disrupted. But let's talk about what these workers are fighting for.
Well, they're looking right now, in the negotiations, they're asking for a 22% raise over 4 years. So the AME salary currently is on an average anywhere from $72,000 to $94,000. So they're asking for more money because the job of an AME is critical to the airline. And so it's about time that the AMEs got paid appropriately for what they do. Now, with the job action coming up, it could affect the flights because if they're not, they're going to have to rely on the management to take over and look after the aircraft if they walk off the job.
Talk about the consequences and, you know, the overall disruptions that could potentially happen if a strike does go forward, and the trickle effect that this could have, especially if a deal eventually does get reached. You still have a major backlog of flights that are going to need to be rescheduled.
Well, exactly, because the airline has to protect the crews and especially the passengers, and they don't want to strand aircraft in any remote locations. So they're going to be consolidating flights, bringing the flight schedule down to a minimum, because if they're just running on management personnel, they're not going to have enough manpower to maintain all the flights. And I don't know how long the management will be able to keep it up, because maintenance control will be affected, and all the guys working the lines and on the heavy checks as well.
Lastly, Phil, are you optimistic a deal can be reached?
I'm sure the sides will come together, and you know, they have to stay at the bargaining table and they have to iron out the details. And I'm sure you know, they're all grown people, and you know, eventually they're going to come to a good understanding.
CTV aviation specialist Phil Dirty, always great to chat. Thanks for joining us.
Great, thanks for having me, Jamie.